So everybody wants to know what the best TV for gaming is. In today's video, we're going to go ahead and tackle that question and give you some different options to consider whether you're in the higher price bracket or you're going to look for something in the more budget range. So I'll discuss all the options available to you and which TVs you might want to avoid if you are a gamer. All the TVs that I'm going to be talking about in this video will be in the description below. These are affiliate links, so if you use these links to buy anything at all, it will help out the channel and I greatly appreciate that, so thank you. And what's the biggest factor when it comes to buying a TV for gaming? For a lot of people, it's going to be, does it have a good input lag performance? And I have to say that for most of the TVs on this list, just about every TV you buy these days is going to have a pretty good input lag performance. Now, there are going to be some exceptions to that rule, and we'll talk about that as the video goes on. The next thing is going to be VRR, and most premium TVs are going to have functional VRR these days, so that is a good thing. You won't have to worry about that if you are buying in the more premium market. However, if you're buying in the more budget range, there are some things to look out for when it comes to VRR. When you are talking about VRR on the more budget range TVs, sometimes you have a feature that will introduce inverse ghosting, or you'll have something that will just be limited to 60 hertz. And these are things that you have to be on the lookout for when you're buying in the more budget range for VRR. So check into that if VRR is a concern for you. The next thing you're going to want to look at is 4K 120 hertz. So HDMI 2.1 support. Most really good TVs can do 4K 120 hertz now, so I think that's something you won't really have to worry about if you're buying in the more upper range. Now, if you're buying in the more budget range, you do want to be on the lookout for this, as some TVs are limited to 60 hertz output. And those that are limited to 60 hertz output, even though it might say that it has HDMI 2.1, you won't be able to game in 4K 120 hertz because it is a 60 hertz panel. So be on the lookout for that. The other thing I want you guys to be on the lookout for is the fact that some TVs can output 4K 120, but you're not actually getting 4K 120. In fact, there are some TVs out there that will not give you 4K 120 even though it says it is. And some of these are limited to the Sony X1 processor, though there are some other TVs out there like the Hisense. I saw that my buddy Keep It Classy Tech has checked out the U8H, and he saw that it is not going to be 4K 120 in the full resolution. So doesn't look like much change there on the Hisense front. Now, I always recommend for gamers to step it up to at least an OLED TV or one of the more premium LCD TVs if you can. Now, I do think that there are a lot of good OLED TVs out there for gaming, and just about every OLED TV for gaming can hit the mark. But there were a few this year that caught my eye and took it to the next level, and that would be the QD-OLEDs. The QD-OLEDs are the premium of gaming TVs. Now, I think the Sony is lacking a lot of features, but the S95B from Samsung is my personal pick for the best gaming TV. I just love the overall performance of it and everything that it delivers. The amount of saturation that you can get out of these QD-OLED TVs is unlike any other OLED TV that we've seen in the past. It really is quite spectacular. The color volume that it is able to deliver surpasses all the OLED TVs in the past. So this is a new technology that is driving the actual gaming standards that we're looking for with today's games. Now, if you're somebody who is looking for a more accurate representation, much like in the same vein that you would look at a film giving you the director's intent, there is something called HGIG on LG TVs. You also are capable of doing Dolby Vision gaming, though I don't think that this is going to be a factor in you buying a TV, but it is something that you can consider if it is something that you've wanted to do. So the LG G2 definitely ticks all the boxes when it comes to being a good gaming TV. They also have the game optimizer, which is going to allow you to adjust different profiles for your picture modes in game mode. So you can have multiple different options available to you, not just the one game mode selection. You can also raise the black stabilizer and the white stabilizer to give you more fine control over the little small details that can help you get an advantage in gaming. For example, if you raise the black stabilizer in a game like Call of Duty, you'll be able to see into the shadows much easier, and that might present a really good advantage for gamers. Now, all the Samsung 2022 premium TVs are going to have a similar feature to the game optimizer, and that is their game bar. Now, the game bar is going to function much like the game optimizer, but I do think it is taking it a step up because the gaming profiles that are available on the Samsung TVs are much more customizable, and you can really fine tune everything that you need within those gaming profiles. There's more options available to select in the settings, and you can use the whole entire expert settings menu to be setting all of your settings up and saving them to presets. While you can't do the same thing on an LG G2 or C2 this year. The other thing that is an advantage to the Samsung TVs is going to be the presence of the Game Motion Plus. Game Motion Plus is motion interpolation for your games at a lower input lag. So you are getting Game Motion Plus at a reduced input lag than if you would put on motion interpolation outside of game mode. So why would you want to do this? Well, you can actually use this feature with some 30 frames per second games to give it a more 60 frames per second feeling by using these settings. Now, there's been a lot of mixed feedback on this. Some people love it and some people hate it. So it's going to be something that you're going to want to try out to see if it's meant for you. But it has saved a lot of 30 frames per second games for me personally. Give it a shot if you're ever struggling with some of the 30 frames per second games and you own one of these Samsung TVs. Another thing you might want to factor in when buying a gaming TV is how well does it perform with your PC if you're a PC gamer. The Samsung S95B can do 4K resolution at 144Hz. The new TCL 6 series TV can also do 144Hz at 4K, though I have not tried that out myself, so I can't confirm if it does or does not work. The other thing you want to be on the lookout for is some TVs are available with 4K 144Hz, but only at certain sizes. For example, the QN90B is only available in the 50-inch and 43-inch size for 4K 144Hz. The other one that I haven't checked out yet, but I might check out in the future, is the Vizio MQX, which is capable of doing 1080p at 240Hz. The MQX 50-inch is going to be the only one that features this, but it is something that I wanted to mention because it was pretty unique to Vizio. Now, Vizio does have some issues on its own where a lot of people are just really upset with the way that the operating system works, and the reliability factor when it comes to buying the Vizio TVs hasn't been something that a lot of people have expressed joy in lately. That brings me to my next topic, reliability. When it comes to buying a TV for gaming, you really want to go with one of the reliable brands. I think that you're talking about introducing processing along with the input lag that you have to worry about. Sticking to Samsung, Sony, and LG for gaming is definitely my recommendation. I don't think that the TCL TVs are quite on the level of the Samsung, Sony, and LG lines yet, though they are some decent budget options. I picked the TCL over the Hisense any day of the week for gaming, as when I tested them, I thought that the TCL definitely gave me a better gaming performance than the Hisense TVs. The Hisense TV, when I tested it, had some inverse ghosting issues, and that was just a no-go for me. The TCL also had some inverse ghosting, though it only was introduced when we used VRR. Now, again, when you see inverse ghosting, you'll definitely know it. It is a really ugly thing to see when you are gaming, and it just feels like there's a bunch of purple blobs all over your screen just whenever you move your camera. It's not pleasant to look at. The next thing I want to talk about when it comes to choosing the right gaming TV for you is going to be the fidelity and the actual way that the picture quality looks. And for me, there's no beating the Sony OLED TVs for this. I think having reality creation combined with the OLED technology is going to be a win for most people looking for the best upscaling possible. The reality creation engine that Sony uses is nothing short of remarkable for lower resolution titles and even 4K titles that have lower resolution elements. So people who game on an Xbox Series X or even a Series S for 1440p, you will really see a benefit. And a lot of these games are created with lower resolution assets because there's just not enough power in these consoles to be able to display 4K assets the whole entire time. It's just not possible. So having something like reality creation does benefit you greatly. I'll tell you, playing Elden Ring with reality creation on and then playing with it off on an LG OLED right afterwards was very noticeable. And this is something that I can't stress enough. I think that image quality does factor into gaming a lot. And personally for me, and I bet that is the case for a lot of people, image quality is going to matter so much more than overall input lag. And the difference between the input lag on the Sony and the LG, while the numbers are basically doubled, you're not going to notice a huge difference. The people that say you can't game on a Sony OLED, they're kind of making that up. You can definitely game on a Sony OLED if you're a casual gamer, and heck, even if you sometimes play competitive games, you can get away with the Sony TV. The only time I could say you might notice a difference between the Sony and the LG when it comes to input lag is if you're a super competitive gamer and that's what you do for a living. Like if you're a pro gamer, you might notice the difference between an LG and a Sony. However, if you're going back and forth, switching between each death like I did when I played Call of Duty, I didn't really notice any difference between the LG and the Sony. Maybe the age factors into that. Maybe if you're a young, spry 20-year-old, you'll be able to tell the difference and really know with your hand-eye coordination what the differences are. You get older, and that stuff doesn't matter as much anymore. So just have to factor all that stuff into your decision. So really, yeah, it comes down to that. What matters to you the most at the end of the day? So if I'm going to rank them now, this is how I would rank the TVs. What do you guys think? What is your favorite gaming TV today? Do you agree or disagree with my comments on these TVs? I would love to hear all of your opinions in the comments below. If you guys want to see more on these 2022 TVs, check out the video right here. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a great day, and I will see you in the next one.